Okay, and then we'll have presentation and approval of minutes. Has everybody looked over the minutes? I mentioned a few changes to Jonathan, and those were on the first page, in between the little bars. Just some clarification on the third sentence there. Seems like it should read, the property in this is in the country, and it should read the county.
Right.
And then on page 2, the third paragraph down, Riggs Park has 2 G's in it, the spelling of it. The Coleman should be changed to Colmia Park. And then in the next to the last line at the end, says we will be looking at the new developments, remove with. And that's all I found. We have a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes with the listed corrections.
I'll second.
We've got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Thank you.
And then new business. We have the review of the revised final plat of Wheatland Village Edition. Jonathan's going to help us with that.
Good evening. Before you is the staff report for the revised final plat of Wheatland Village. This is the second review of the plat. Plat includes now further development on the west side of the property, increasing the number of single-family lots from 97 to 131 lots, and reducing the number of duplexes from 49 to 46 lots. Comments from the area utilities are in staff report before you. Staff is recommending the approval of the final plat of Wheatland Village Edition with all utilized comments and conformance to subdivision regulations being complete before going to council for final approval. The agent for the applicant is here for you to answer any questions you may have. I can also stand for any questions.
Yeah, the thing that jumps out, that, and perhaps it's nothing, I don't know, but that Sedgwick County Public Works listed a whole lot of things they want corrected that I wonder if these shouldn't be corrected before we approve this.
Or like the public works, were they in the works of being corrected, or?
Yes, I'm happy to speak to that as well, if you'd like.
Who'd you like to hear from?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I don't care, I just,
Yeah. Good evening. No, I completely understand. So my name is Rebecca Melius. I'm the engineer overseeing the project with PEC. There are a handful of those comments. Most of them are annotative, so they're labels that were missed or that they didn't like the way they looked and they wanted those added and reflected. It is our intent, those have been majorly picked up. They're going through a final review internally, and then we'll sit and review with staff to make sure that all of those items have been picked up appropriately. None of them are differences in the content, so they're not gonna change whether or not this conforms with the subdivision regulations or will change the contents of the plat, so whether or not that lot is a valid lot. They're just clerical at this point. So
okay, all right.
they will be done. Plus, if you'll note in your staff report, there's a handful of things we're still working through with Evergy. They had requested some additional easements. We're trying to work through the logistics of that. You'll notice with this revision, a lot of new reserve areas. As we're all aware, this project has a highly temperamental drainage area, and so the main cause for this update was to create the new reserve spaces to allow for the appropriate drainage conveyance across our property and into the adjacent properties. So that is a very sensitive subject for Evergy as well. They don't want to place equipment in drainage areas, naturally so, right? I don't want water and electricity to mix either. So we're working very closely with them to try and figure out exactly what that corridor is going to look like. So before the city council sees the final Mylar of this document in December, all of those things are going to be finalized.
Now, this drainage, is this going to tie into the D21?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay, okay. The other thing was all the wheatland courts.
Yes, so those have been addressed. You know, every municipality handles this differently. In adjacent municipalities, they would rather all of them be the same with different numericals, and we address it with a street sign that states what block is there. It makes it easier when they're answering calls because they know exactly what addition they're going to. There are other municipalities that would prefer every single one to be different because then it's a little easier. We left that up to staff, and staff returned that they wanted those to be all different. That was how they wanted to address that. It's 6 and 1/2 dozen or another to us. We just kind of follow what is typical, which is that those would be the same, just with different numericals. And so those have been updated. We did different species of wheat. So we got as creative as we could that are not currently existing. When you look at all these little courts, it's really hard to name them something different and get everybody on board. So that was where we went, was different species of wheat. So
Okay.
that's what you'll see on the final plat.
I like
Okay.
it.
Thank goodness for good farmers in the office that know all the different species we can tie
I just see
into.
a North Wheat Germ Street.
Right? I
Yeah.
honestly can't even remember what they are at this point, but yeah, they were like, well, the only place we can start is types of wheat. I said, great, whatever it takes.
Okay, that takes care of me.
Okay.
Okay. In speaking to Georgie,
Yes,
she
ma'am.
said that, I'm just really speaking to the group here. She said that the recommendation from the city would be to approve it with the recommendations, the changes completed before it goes to council
Okay.
for a vote. So if you're comfortable with that, then we would stand for a motion. And second.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve with the changes noted before it goes to council.
I'll second.
I had a question before we moved on to that.
Okay.
I noticed previously we discussed the pipeline. I had to deal with it recently, so I understand the severity of the situation.
Sure.
And it shows that these are now reserved. So is it just going to be open lots what are you gonna do with them?
Yeah, so the reserve space there is intended just as open green space, so
Okay.
that will be open for the HOA to own and maintain. They could work with pipeline to potentially, I mean, it's Black Hills, so at least it's not one of the bigger refinery type. They're a little bit easier to work with, where you could do some potential amenities. We left it very open in the platter's text so that if they are able to work with Black Hills to put something in that reserve, as long as it's not like on the pipeline, that gives them the flexibility to do that. But as we were looking at the reconfiguration a little bit, it's cleaner for future property owners to not have to deal with that directly, and by making that something that the HOA has to deal with. So that was why we made that revision.
Okay, perfect.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, we have a motion and a second to move this on to council once all the revisions have been completed. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you very much.
All right, and then the next order of business is review of the comprehensive plan, and I believe Jonathan is on the podium again. At the podium, don't get on.
Thank you. In your packet for your review is a copy of the comprehensive plan for the city. References to the South Broadway corridor plan was removed throughout the document since it was removed earlier from the zoning regulations this year. On page 2, the population growth was updated to 2% from 2020 to 2022. On page 6, under a section of land use and growth, the square miles was reduced to 20.43 square miles from the 23.56 square miles. This is because it had included the floodway in previous calculations. On page 8, under the bicycle and facilities, the total miles for bike path is 14.62 miles. And on page 18, the number of parks was updated to 17. This includes 3 active parks and 14 passive parks. And a public hearing is scheduled for December 14th to allow for public comments.
Any questions or comments? Okay, so the recommendation is to schedule a public hearing for December 14th, and that would allow the comments from the public. Could I have, do we need a motion for that?
Sure.
To schedule?
Yeah.
Could I have a motion and a second for that?
You're a motion maker.
I've been a troublemaker, but not a motion maker. All right, I'll make a motion to approve this recommendation and schedule public hearing for December 14th, 2023.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Old business. Any
None.
correspondence?
I have not received anything.
Off agenda, I have one. The Village Christmas is coming up December 2nd, and it is 4 o'clock to 7:30, and that will be the city lighting ceremony as well, and then the Village Christmas is in the Historic District. Anyone else? Okay, number 8.
Okay, I'll make a motion for adjournment.
I'll second.
We have a motion for adjournment. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.